man. Let's keep it real. When he making songs about shooting niggas and things he may have done before, are we looking at that like, wait a minute, he could be talking about somebody else's kids who gon' die or who's dead already? Are we as sympathetic for the victims of his words? You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times when I look at, because like I mentioned all the time, my family owns a funeral home. I'm transparent about these type of things. My family owns a funeral home, and when I see young dudes who die from gun violence, I'm always empathetic. I've had deaths in my family. I know how serious these things can be, but I would be remiss if I didn't also consider, what the fuck did he do? Did he make somebody else's family cry? Did he take another mother's son to get to a position where a nigga feel they got to take him out? You see what I'm saying? So that, I mean, none of it is correct, but we have to look at everything from a clear lens. You see? And unfortunately, as far as hip hop is concerned, because these white corporations have a handle on our music, because history and like getting a clear perspective of who we are and where we come from is so not appreciated by so many people in Black culture, just to be on some real shit, not the right people. You see what I'm saying? We may continue to see these type of things. You know, we may continue to see our young men treating each other this way because forgiveness is a motherfucker. Like being in this country and having all these awkward ass last names, Johnson, Anderson, Smith, fucking whatever your last name is, it ain't some African shit. It ain't no Aboriginal shit for the most part. So we stolen Africans in a lost ass land. It's gonna take the elders. It's gonna take community leaders who are on the right shit, who are on the right side of it, who aren't coons or who aren't affected by a meritorious manumission, because that's something I wanted to make sure I mentioned to everybody. When we look at how we treat each other as Black people, when we look at the Tekashi 6ix9ines or any of the Black men in our community, the first 48 shit, where we treat each other like we're not one. We always are in a position where we're trying to one up another Black man to increase our stake in this society. A lot of this started, and I got a video about this on the Melanated Convo. That's the YouTube channel. You can find this video under History Matters. I have a video about this with Meritorious Manumission was a law that was put into place in the early 1700s for Black slaves, that basically, if you did certain things, you could either be freed or put in a more advantageous position. Some of these things could be helping out your massa if he's sick, helping him out, putting in extra work on the plantation. One of these things was if you knew information about a slave revolt, or if you knew information about a slave that was thinking about running, if you told, you would get like a butter biscuit. You would get to come in the house, different shit like that. Yeah, you heard what I said. They would get butter biscuits as a reward, right? So when we look at the snitching crisis, the snitching epidemic we have in our community, when we look at just in general, the crabs in a barrel mentality, these ways of living has been bred into our community over centuries and centuries. That's why I'm always going to be such a big proponent of history, because in my opinion, maybe if most of our young men begin to learn about these things, they would understand that it was a trap put into place in the first place, like before all of this. Like things happen to us. You know what I mean? It's just not a happenstance that we treat each other the way that we treat each other. Or when you look at our communities and when you look at the lack of resources, most of this shit was orchestrated, but we have to be aware of that. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, if you're aware of the orchestration, then maybe you'll feel different about hurting your brother. But we got to practice forgiveness. And the last thing I'll say about the brother Young Dolph, tragic killing of another young Black rapper. And something else I was thinking about, man, we too caught up in this materialistic shit. We too caught up in how somebody look and how somebody dress and, oh, he a real nigga and all this. We need to recontextualize what the fuck is a real nigga. Dying at 36, that ain't real. I'm not coming at him per se, but just in general, living a particular lifestyle where you can lose your life in your 30s ain't a goddamn thing fly about that at all. At all. Growing up, people frowned upon anybody they considered square, which I admittedly would be um a dude that was considered square. I own that shit because I am who I am and I'm not no goddamn follower. But at the end of the day, being cool was appreciated in our community. Like because we were bereft of resources and our Jordans and materialistic shit made us feel good because the outside world didn't. I'm keenly aware of that, but we got to begin changing this narrative and use different methods to actually do so. History, building our families correctly, just loving our families, being more forgiving people, being more empathetic, whatever this may be. You know what I mean? So, RIP to the brother Young Dolph. I'm personally, if you don't approach your hip hop from a realistic, lyrical perspective, it's going to be difficult for me to listen to you again. I can understand you talking about things you've been through in your life, things you've had to go through, and this can include violence and other shit. But if you're perpetuating violence, if you just rapping about killing niggas randomly, I'm done with that shit. And parents, if you have kids who live in urban communities, you need to be keenly aware. If they live in urban communities and don't have resources, you need to be keenly aware of how they're using this music. This is real shit because white kids who live in suburbs listen to hip hop or buy hip hop more than we do. So it's not about the kid, it's about the environment. It's about the environment. It's about the structure. All these things are important. If your kid isn't living under a structured environment, no resources, it's violence and shit going outside of his door. The music may hit him different. The music may make him think he has to be a participant. If your kid has resources and don't want for nothing and has a structured home, preferably with a mom and a dad, they may not look at the music as something they have to embody because white kids don't listen to rap music and starting gangs and killing each other. That shit just don't happen. That's based on economics. Like Claude Anderson says, that's based on economics. That's based on the communities that we come from.